following show is controversial and contains content you may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised.
98 FM's Dublin Talks. Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
Hasn't the week just flown? It is Friday morning already. Thank God. This is Adrian Kennedy, and between now and midday today, this is 98 FM's Dublin Talks, the mid-morning talk and phone-in show for Dublin, by Dublin, and about Dublin. If it's happening in the city, we tend to touch on it at one stage or another. So let me give you an idea of what's coming up on the programme today. If you own any sort of smart device, you know, one of those virtual assistants like Alexa or Google or Siri, are they listening to you all the time? I'm going to be asking that question in just a moment and want to find out whether or not you are paranoid. I know I was talking to somebody the other day, said I will never have one of those devices in my house because they're listening to you morning, noon and night. But are they being nosy? I'll explain all about that in a second. Also, a little bit later on, a pervert taxi driver is banned from driving a taxi. It's the story that everyone has been talking about. We hear from a driver who believes that this story is going to scare women from travelling in taxis. Also, a little bit later on, we have our weekly feature, our Good News Friday. We've also got our quiz, our Say What You See quiz is coming up later on, and much more besides between now and midday today. And live from the centre of Dublin, this is 98 FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy. Alexa is listening to your conversations. The web giant Amazon has admitted that clips are analysed by Amazon workers, including your most intimate moments. Amazon workers are listening to private and sometimes disturbing voice recordings from Alexa to improve the voice assistant's understanding of human speech. The company has admitted to its customers that thousands of recordings are being analysed by staff and transcribed before feeding them back into the software. As many as 1,000 clips are reviewed by workers in buildings all over the world, many of which do not bear any obvious indication that they are run by Amazon. Among more sinister content that the workers have heard have been a child screaming for help and 2 incidents where they believe they heard a sexual assault taking place. This is scary stuff. And I want to know, are you somebody... I had a conversation with somebody the other day about these virtual assistants and the fact that you're being listened to all day, every day by your smartphone or by your virtual assistant in your house if you have one. 15% of Irish people have one of these virtual assistants like Alexa or Google. Do you have one in your home? Do you use it? Are you not paranoid that you're being listened to morning, noon and night? Because I just have to, in the studio here, say, hey Siri, and bang, there she is. She's ready to go. So I'd like to hear from you on 6797 981. You can text or WhatsApp us on 0877 98 98 98. I want to find out if you have one of these virtual assistants, and does it bother you that there is somebody in an office somewhere in the world listening to your conversation? Maybe it doesn't bother you because you've nothing to hide and they've nothing to listen into. Call me right now on 6797 981. You can text or WhatsApp the programme on 0877 98 98 98. I'm joined in the studio by technology correspondent Jess Kelly to find out a little bit more about this. Jess, thanks for coming in. Tell me firstly, if you will, what exactly have Amazon admitted to here?
Okay, so we know that these devices, they're smart assistants and they're constantly listening for the wake-up word is what they call. So it's by default Alexa. So you say the name, it wakes up and you tell it what you want to do. What Amazon have confirmed to us now yesterday is that staff, so human beings, get to hear what you say to your Alexa device. The reason for this is so they can transcribe it with a vision and with a goal goal of making Alexa understand you better, because we all have different accents. I know you did it on the show a few weeks ago. There's so many different accents, and they can struggle to understand and comprehend what exactly is being said. So human beings, Amazon employees, transcribe what's said and fed back into the system. Now, Amazon were keen to stress that not everyone who works at Amazon can access this database. It's a small number of people, but some of the stats that were reported were that a person working on this team will work a 9-hour shift and can listen to 1,000 clips in that 9-hour shift. So a lot of stuff is being listened to.
Okay, now, I know there's a slightly more sinister side to this, in that they have heard stuff that they probably shouldn't have heard and actually did nothing about.
Well, this is where the most interesting aspect of this technology comes into effect, because this is essentially an algorithm that's programmed by humans and then let run. And one employee reportedly heard sexual assault, and they flagged it with their line manager, and the line manager said, it's not our job to jump in and take any action in this instance. Again, it's an alleged attack. We don't know for sure, but it's just what it sounded like to the person who heard it. So where does the ethics kick in with artificial intelligence and with these smart assistants? At what point does a red flag get shot up and someone acts on it? We're still seeing companies like Facebook, who've been around for a hell of a long time, struggling and figuring out how they deal with it. I was out with Microsoft in Seattle last week, who told us that they have, if you interact with their assistant, which is called Cortana, and if you say anything that is worrying or troublesome, it'll feed you back either support lines or resources to give you more information, which is as far as they're willing to go at this moment in time. But as this technology becomes more and more the norm, you'd hope that the companies would have an ethical policy in place, just to ensure that human intervention does kick in at some stage.
So have other companies said what they're doing, like Google, or I mean, on my phone here I have my Siri, so hey Siri,
Go ahead.
what's the weather in Dublin?
It's currently cloudy and 9 degrees in Dublin. Expect mostly cloudy skies starting in the evening. Today's high will be 11 degrees and the low will be 7.
Who's Adrian Kennedy?
What would you like to know about Adrian Kennedy?
What does he work at?
98 FM Marconi House, Diggs Lane.
So is somebody in Apple actually listening to me saying that?
So the way it works is you're interacting with the device. The device is constantly listening, so that when you say her name, she can engage. None of the other companies have come out and said 100% we have human beings transcribing this software. But from a business point of view, it makes pure sense that they would. But you know that conspiracy theory, people always text in about it going, is my phone listening to me? Because, I have an example. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but a few months ago I was in a meeting here and I was talking about my 9th birthday party, which was in Leisureplex. Now, I haven't Googled Leisureplex at any stage in my life, and I went out to my desk, looked at my phone, and an Instagram ad for Leisureplex popped up.
Well, I know that's happened to an awful lot of us.
But the companies say they're not listening. So this is the thing. So how is that happening? Now, I want to tell you, I have a Google Home at home, and it's an alternative to the Amazon Alexa device. I have it plugged in so that I can turn on my telly and my lights and everything in the house. It's great. I just say, hey Google, and it does whatever I tell it. Look, it's listening to me there now. I was scanning through if you go to myactivity.google.com, if you have a Google account, regardless of whether you have a Google Home, you'll see all of your activity, what YouTube videos you've watched, what searches you've put in, all that stuff. I was just scanning through this morning just to have a look. And I found that on the 14th of March, which is a Thursday, and I know for a fact that I was in the office here, it recorded a snippet of a conversation that I was not having with my Google Assistant. Take a listen to this.
Who are all about how.
So that's me saying something Irish PR company who are all about. That I was clearly mid-sentence when that engaged. Every other time that it's logged in, if I'm saying, hey Google, turn on the TV or turn the volume up or set a timer for 30 minutes, you hear me say, hey Google, you hear me engaging the device.
But on that occasion you didn't.
It just recorded it and it saved it, which is kind of creepy.
Now, you said you're not a conspiracy theorist. I know an awful lot of people listening to us now will be saying, I'm terrified of these.
Yeah.
Over 15% of Irish people have one of these smart speakers, these smart devices in their homes, and it's growing every year. I know my own mum and dad have one and have great fun with it. Is it something to be worried about that we're being listened to?
I think if you have one of these devices in your home, you need to accept that you are being listened to. And where it comes down, or what it comes down to in my head, is kind of a seesaw of what value do you, where do you place your value? Is it on the convenience factor that comes from a device being able to tell you whether or not it's raining in Leopardstown where I live? Or do I place greater value on my privacy so that these companies don't have snippets of conversation? It's only ever snippets of conversations. It's not, full blown, arguments that you're having with your partner, or you singing Britney Spears in your home. That's not what it is. It's snippets, and they're saying, Amazon are saying, the reason that they do that is to enhance the service. I think, do you remember a few years ago we were all downloading apps onto our phone, not reading the terms and conditions, going yeah, you can have access to my contents and my camera and whatever you're having yourself. We're now at that stage with voice control technology, and so if you don't educate yourself on what the terms and conditions of these things are, then you kind of only have yourself to blame. If you do read the terms and conditions of the Amazon Alexa device, the FAQ, it does say that snippets of the audio could be used for, when you're calling out those services, they say for quality and research purposes or whatever it may be. So I think we need to be wise to it. You need to accept that they are listening. When I was at CES, the Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas last year, I met a company who've made an add-on for the Alexa that sits on top and it just feeds it white noise. So when you don't want it to be listening to you, you just twist the top of this and it feeds white noise. Now that totally defeats the purpose of the technology, because the idea is you're just meant to be able to have a conversation as naturally as you and I are talking.
Okay, so it's with a view to improving the service, not them being nosy, listening to you having a row with your wife.
Yeah, but at the same time,
they could be listening to you having a row with your wife.
A little bit, yeah. Like, all it takes is some.
Because I have a mental image. Sorry, Jess. I have a mental image of a whole gang gathered around a speaker, all listening. Listen to this. This is hilarious.
Basically, yeah. And so what they're saying is that clips that the staff that listen to these clips can drop them into a group chat for people to listen to. So they're saying that's to help decipher what's being said, or to help relieve stress. So if they hear something that is a bit intense, they can relieve stress that way. But all it takes is one evil overlord to flip a switch, and then all of your deepest, darkest secrets that you don't share here on the show are going to be found out.
You have me terrified now. Technology correspondent Jess Kelly, thanks for popping in.
Thank you very much.
Right. I'm a little bit on edge now, to be honest with you. And I'd love to hear from you right now on 6797 981. For example, the amount of people who texted in the last couple of minutes, because talking to Jess there, in the middle of the conversation, I said, as you probably heard, Jeremy, I said, "Hey Siri," and
it just kicked off, didn't it? It just
kicked off, but it didn't just kick off my phone. It kicked off loads of phones of people who are listening to us, and they had their iPhone in the background.
Okay, wait first, hang on. Alexa.
Okay.
Alexa.
So if you've got one of the
people
devices,
with some Alexa in the house now and it's going mad, is it?
Here's the question, though, and I'd like to know how you feel about this. Are you paranoid about the fact that smart devices are listening to you right now? Call me on 6797 981. You can text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. And the reason Jeremy is here is because of something that happened to you recently, which is a little bit bizarre.
I've been going on about this for years, and I mentioned, if you were listening to the show a couple of months ago, Christmas time, I was talking to a tech guy about how I'm convinced Facebook is listening to me. We'd love to hear your examples of how Facebook or Siri or Alexa are listening to you. So yesterday, this will show you, and this is completely real, okay, because I'm going to show to Adrian this as it's happening. Yesterday, I was talking to a mate of mine about something completely random. We were talking about, he's thinking of going to Turkey to get a hair transplant.
Okay.
Because he's going bald.
Okay, fair enough.
And he asked me would I consider doing it myself, because hair transplants are a lot cheaper in Turkey. So how random is that to be talking about?
It's a fairly random conversation, yeah.
So we had this conversation in his place about hair transplants in Turkey. We both had our phones with us at the time. I wasn't Googling it. I've never Googled hair transplants in Turkey. Ever. Maybe I should, but I haven't. Went on Facebook that evening, and ads started coming up for hair transplants or for me in Turkey. Now, I've just gone onto Facebook now, and you can see this is my live timeline here, yes?
Yeah.
This isn't screenshots I'm showing you. This is my live timeline. I want you to have a look at what's on my timeline there. Just have a look at that.
Oh, right, okay.
Read at that.
It says...
It's an ad, first of all, isn't it?
Quan Medical hair transplant abroad, only verified clinics and doctors. You have your personal driver, a hotel stay, and it's a whole post all about hair loss and normal follicles and
where is Quan Medical? Where do they have offices?
Oh, let's have a look at.
But don't click into it.
Quan Medical. They are based in. Oh no, they're actually based in Berlin.
Yes, they're based in Berlin, but they also have, according to this, they have a place in Turkey.
Wow. So, a conversation where your phone was probably in your pocket.
Yeah, it was.
You're talking to your mate, he's saying, I'm thinking of going to Turkey for a hair transplant.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, when you went onto Facebook later on, there's a post for hair transplants in Turkey.
Yeah. Now, I do not have an explanation for that. I honest to God, I've never Googled, now I have now, but I've never Googled hair transplants in Turkey. I've never Googled hair transplants, to be honest, because I didn't think I could afford one. They're about 50 grand or something. So how do you explain that? Does anybody have an explanation for that?
Well, if you listen to what Jess was saying, she said we are being listened to all the time.
Oh my God. Look at this. Again, happening live. What just came up? A sponsored post on Facebook.
A sponsored post on Facebook for, hair transplants. Another one for Hair-a-Verasai, wherever they are. I wonder, is it on mine? Let me have a look at my own Facebook.
This is, I swear on my life, this is after coming up on my Facebook timeline now. A company called, and it's a sponsored post, literally it came up this minute, and the company is called Hair-a-Verasai or something like that, and it says, do you need needle-free hair transplantation? And Adrian, do you know where this place is based?
In Turkey.
In Turkey. Oh. Turkey must be mad into hair transplants.
Oh, that's a bit freaky now, I have to say. That is really freaking me out. If anything like this has ever happened to you, call us right now on 6797 981. You can text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. Now, some people will say this is the ultimate inconvenience, because you just have to say hair transplants in Turkey, and you'll get a post on your Facebook from Estetica Hospital.
There's another. So in the last 10 minutes... 3 different ads have come up on my Facebook timeline. This one is from a company called Estetica Hospital, and it says, keep your confidence, get a hair transplant. And Adrian, if you can look down the bottom of that ad, where is that hair transplant clinic?
It is in Istanbul, Turkey. That's really weird. Now, interestingly, and I wonder how this is, there's none of them on my timeline on my Facebook. I wonder why that is. Is it because I have an iPhone and you have an Android phone? Maybe iPhones aren't listening to you as much. I don't know. Call me right now, 6797 981. Bob, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Bob?
Good morning, Adrian. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, Bob. Tell me what happened to you.
It was a good while ago now. I was looking for motorbike boots, and I was over at my friend's house, and we were talking about motorbike boots because we're into bikes, you know. And when I got home that evening, on Marketplace, just off Facebook, there was loads of ads for motorbike boots.
Really?
So I rang my pal and I told him, and he said the same thing happened to him when he was looking for a drill. You know?
That's weird now. That's like I said, some people will say this is the ultimate inconvenience because, you know, you just have a conversation and then they help you and they show you stuff. But interestingly, Jeremy's after just show me another ad. So he's about 4 ads are after appearing on his Facebook timeline for hair transplants in Turkey. But he's got an Android phone and I've got an iPhone, and there's not one ad for a hair transplant in Turkey on mine. I'm wondering
my phone is an Android phone.
Oh.
So it's not an iPhone.
I'm wondering, is this a security thing or something like that? Because definitely on my own Facebook there are no ads for hair transplants in Turkey, but there is on his, and I'm after seeing them.
Yeah, but my friend then, after that incident then, if we're over visiting one another, he just completely gets rid of the phones altogether. Won't have them in the room. Yeah, no,
I've a mate who actually keeps the camera on the front-facing camera on your phone. He has a little sticker over it because he's convinced they're watching him.
We put little plasters over their cameras.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Fully convinced that they're watching you as well, yeah.
You have me completely freaked out. Now, some people will say, Bob, like I said, that this is the ultimate inconvenience, that you just have to be talking about hair transplants in Turkey and you'll be helped along the way to find a hair transplant in Turkey. Is it not very convenient?
I'd say so, yeah. I mean, that film that was out with Mel Gibson, Conspiracy Theory, that time, everyone thought it was a joke, but I tell you, it really opens your eyes now. Big Brother is definitely watching it.
And are you freaked out by it, or do you see it as convenience?
I'd be wary of it now.
You'd be wary of it?
Yeah, big time.
All right, let's have a listen to this WhatsApp voice message.
Myself and the wife were in Amsterdam years ago, and 2 years ago, and I said to me, there's an espresso machine in every room in the hotel, and I said to myself, I'd love an espresso machine, and all the next week, all I saw on Facebook and everywhere was Nespresso.
Yeah, is it convenient, or is it Big Brother watching you? Call me now on 6797-981. We'll take a quick break. I'll take another couple of calls on this straight after the break.
98 FM's
Dublin Talks
with Des Kelly Interiors, the wood floor experts who supply and fit your new wood floor from start to finish, hassle-free. DesKelly.ie. 98 FM.
And this is Adrian Kennedy with you until midday today. Amazon, the biggest company in the world, has admitted that workers are listening to private and sometimes disturbing voice recordings from Alexa to improve the voice assistant's understanding of human speech. So basically, if you've got an Alexa device at home and you are just going about your daily business, Alexa can be listening to you. And staff of Amazon are listening to you. Now, a lot of people believe their phones are listening to them all the time. For example, we had a conversation just a couple of minutes ago about hair transplants in Turkey, and I've seen it with my own two eyes. On Jeremy's Facebook timeline, there are 4 different adverts for hair transplants in Turkey. Now, interestingly, on my phone, which is an iPhone, his is an Android phone, on my Facebook timeline, there are no ads for hair transplants in Turkey. So I'm just wondering why the difference. Let's have a listen to this WhatsApp voice message.
Adrian, a couple of weeks ago, myself and my wife were talking about a particular type of new Seat car. It's a 7-seater that was coming out there. And we only just spoke about it briefly. And we went on Facebook that night. Both of us have Android phones. We went on Facebook that night and there was ads all over the place for this particular type of Seat car that was only being launched. So we are being watched, listened to.
Watched and listened to. Owen, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Owen?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Owen, you had 2 different incidents of being spied on.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a passive eavesdropping going on a massive scale here by Facebook. It's a form of targeted, personalised advertising, but there's no question that it's happening. We had my wife only literally last night. She just terminated her Facebook feed after a second incident where there was clearly personalised passive eavesdropping going on. We were talking about a digital watch for one of our kids that had been lost, and we were talking about getting a new one. And it didn't go online. There was no searching. There was nothing digital at all about it. And then within half an hour, my wife's feed started getting content targeted at new digital watches for children.
And as a matter of interest, you see, I kind of understand if you Google something, if you put in a Google search, that you're going to be targeted with, for example, I did a Google search for car tires last week, and ever since then I'm seeing adverts for car tires. And that I can get my head around, but I haven't had the experience of speaking and my phone then throwing ads at me. And I'm wondering... I'm wondering, is this an Android versus iPhone thing, or do you have an Android phone?
No, my wife has an iPhone and got the latest iPhone. It's device agnostic. They use the same tech on all listing devices. Facebook have been doing this and researching this for over a year now. There's a famous caption where it shows Zuckerberg at his desk with his with a little device covering his phone or his camera. Stuff, because he's aware of the capabilities of passive both video and listening devices.
Okay, so but why is it that on Jeremy's Android phone he got 4 ads on his Facebook timeline for hair transplants in Turkey, and I've got none?
it may like it's only been personalised due to further comment or demographics based on his age growth. There's a whole host of different AI pieces they bring into that to try and personalise that feed and target to you.
So is it that his phone knows that he's going slightly bald?
I'm not sure. I don't know what algorithms they use, but they're taking in information from a whole host of things. And the certainly disconcerting thing here is that when you do a Google search, you're actively inputting some stuff, and you know that you're putting it online. Whereas there's a passive, you're just having a conversation in the privacy of your home with your wife, which you think no one else listening, and then you've got basically this behemoth, this tech behemoth listening into every word you're saying. A clear invasion of privacy, and something that takes the whole GDPR thing to the whole next level. It's the kind of thing that the Facebook CEO needs to be, brought up in front of an Oireachtas committee and say, what is going on here? I mean, the Germans took a very strong line on this when there was a child's doll which passively eavesdropped on children's conversations. Again, all about collecting information to target ads at their parents, and that was there was a massive uproar, furore over that. And this kind of same thing should be happening now, because it's something we've noticed in the last couple of weeks. Last night was the last straw, and certainly my wife's last post was...
Okay, so we have, as far as you're concerned, reason to be concerned.
Yeah.
Okay, let me go to Kelly in Donamead. You're on 98 FM. Kelly, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Now, tell me what happened to you a couple of months ago.
I remember, I think I was just on the laptop and I was doing like a couple of assignments, but I wasn't on any browser, like on Google or anything like that. And I was just sitting in bed doing assignments, and I think I was having a brief conversation with my partner, just talking about, like a healthcare assistant. I think there was jobs going in the area or something like that, and I actually just touched on it. I think I said 2 sentences, that was it, and like I don't even think he answered me back. And I left it at that then. And then for the whole, like, next week or two, when I went onto YouTube, the adverts were popping up, like, local healthcare assistants, join our team. Like, that went on for, like, a full week or two, and it was popping up on the laptop. And eventually I just blocked all the pop-ups, like, but they were still all, the ads that when you're watching the YouTube videos?
Yes.
They never came up before like that, and it was all like healthcare assistants, everything was healthcare related. And then on my phone then, like that was in my pocket obviously, when I went onto Facebook, it was all the healthcare assistants ad, like join our team, local healthcare assistants on the phone as well.
Now again the question is this just the ultimate inconvenience? I mean, isn't it better to see an ad for something that you're interested in rather than a random ad that has no bearing on your life at all?
I just think that if your phone and your laptop is full of random ads, and then all of a sudden it's like laced with healthcare assistant, everything after you had a brief conversation on it. Like it wasn't on my phone or anything, it was just all on the Facebook. Like they wouldn't have been there on like Facebook earlier that day, and then as soon as it starts popping up on the laptop, then it goes through the phone. It's too much of a coincidence, I think, for that just to happen by chance.
All right, but stay there for 1 second. I want to have a listen to this WhatsApp voice message.
Yeah.
They ask you your permission before you log into or set up any type of app. They ask you your permission. Can they use audio from your phone and listening to your conversations?
Now, I've never seen a permission thing asking, can I listen to your conversations all day, every day? Maybe it is there and I just haven't seen it, but I certainly don't remember ever giving permission for Facebook
people
to listen to me.
Yeah. No. I think I might just, like, when you're signing up for things, I'm just like, scroll, agree, accept terms and conditions. Maybe it is there, I don't know, and we just accept it and just go past what's important just to kind of get on with it. But I thought it was really weird. And then that led me to, like I remember getting changed in the room and I actually turned the laptop around and now I have a little plaster over the laptop camera.
Oh, so the fella I was talking about earlier on isn't the only one. There's quite a number of people.
No, I actually did that because after I used the laptop and after it was through the laptop that I started popping up, so I kind of got a bit wary. And I remember it wasn't straight away that I put the plaster on it, but I remember I was getting changed in the room and the laptop was facing me. I was after being on it and I just looked at it and I was like, oh God, the fact that I'm even thinking of that, and I turned it around the other way and now I have a little plaster on it as well.
Okay, so you're completely paranoid now, are you?
Yeah, well, like, it's not that it's a problem. I don't mind, like, I honestly don't mind the conversations being listened to because I've nothing to hide or anything. But if it was a fact where they were watching, yeah, I'd be wary of that. Like,
all right, here's a message that just came in and it said, these people make me laugh. People will put every aspect of their life on Facebook and Instagram, but lose their minds when Facebook shows them some ads. We freely give this type of information away by using their services. Take off the tinfoil hats, lads. There isn't a person listening to your conversations, says that message. But to that person, you're wrong. Because Amazon have just admitted that they do have workers listening to private and sometimes disturbing conversations. Let me read a couple more messages. My mum had the best one. Her little dog keeps barking at the TV, and she said, messing, Holly, stop or I will buy a shock collar for you. Lo and behold, a few hours later, there was dog shock collar ads on Facebook. And another one says, guys, don't accept any digital cookies. They are designed to gather information on you on a continuous basis for that website. So if you just happen to be talking about it or searching about it, the website will get notification and they will start sending you ads in relation to what you're actually talking about. Clear your phone of all cookies and all caches on a regular basis, and you won't have this problem. Maybe that's what it is, because I only cleared all the cookies out of my phone the other day. So maybe that's what it is. Anthony, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Anthony?
Hey, Adrian.
Good, Anthony. What do you want to say?
This has happened to me with the usual. I was just talking about getting eye surgery, and it keeps popping up. I keep deleting it, keep hiding the ad, but keeps coming up on Facebook. But the main thing I ring you about is about 3 years ago, I was in the States. I was having lunch with two Americans that work for a government agency in the States. I'm not saying which, whatever. But they told me that anything you say is being listened to on your phone, whether you have it on or off. And they were laughing about it, but they had iPhones. And they said,
but it could hardly be listening to you when it's switched off.
They said it was, and they laughed about it.
What, if the battery's dead?
Not the battery's dead. Your phone's switched off and not the battery's dead. They listen to everything. It says, you'd be surprised what we can listen to. And he says, they made an example. They were talking about some weird random thing the night before, and they were getting ads all over their phones. Both had iPhones at the time. And
well then it must be some sort of a setting in the phones, because I can honestly say I've never gotten any advert that kind of freaked me out because it was in conversation. I have gotten adverts over something I Googled, and I kind of I can understand that, but I've never had the experience of an ad appearing over as a result of a conversation that I had. That's the bit of...
I know, but someone randomly said it in a pub, I'd say okay, but these two work for a government agency. One went hard again recently, and they were joking about it, but they were concerned about it too.
That's really weird, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so put a sticker over the camera, put a lump of glue into the microphone, and you be grand. Nobody will hear a word you're saying, although you won't be able to make a phone call either. A lot of messages coming in. Okay, let me just play one final WhatsApp voice message that's come in to us.
Hi, Adrian. I was at a internet safety meeting a while ago. I was actually off your radio station, Harvey Norman, I think it was. Anyway, seemingly WhatsApp and Facebook listen to you using keywords. They don't listen to full conversations. They pick up keywords. So if you're talking about hair, they'll give you ads on hair, but they're not sitting in a room listening to you. It's all keywords and voice recognition.
Okay, well, the key word is hair transplants in Turkey, and I still haven't seen one ad. Maybe they know I have a full head of hair, Jeremy, and you don't. Would that be it? We'll go with that. Yeah, we'll go with that. All right, thanks very much, Steve, for all of your calls. Live from Dublin City Centre, this is 98 FM's Dublin Talks. And it's Friday, which means it's time for Good News Friday. Now, Good News Friday is your opportunity to share with us a good news story from your world.
What's happening in your life at the moment? Is all good?
All is good. In fact, every day is a good news day for me, thank God.
Really?
Touch wood and
you
all that.
You never have a bad day?
Well, until my missus isn't talking to me again.
But sure, that's every day.
No, things are great at the moment.
Sorry, can I just say, the days where your missus isn't talking to you is a good day. I love the silent treatment.
Oh, really?
I love the silent treatment.
I was only talking to somebody the other day about that. He said, I love when she doesn't talk to me.
My wife, I had a row with her the other day over something completely stupid. I know this is off the point, but completely stupid. And she didn't talk to me for 4 hours. You know, a huff normally lasts for 4 hours in my house, okay?
Oh, it couldn't last for a week in our house. But anyway,
really?
Go on.
Well, I apologised after 4 hours. Anyway, for the whole 4 hours where she didn't talk to me, I went into the bedroom, stuck the Xbox on, and played a game for 4 hours. Completely, like, no hassle, no annoyance on the door, no knocking, no ask me to put the bins out. It's brilliant. Ladies, if you want to punish your man, don't give him the silent treatment. We love the silent treatment, don't we?
We do. Well, not when it lasts for a week.
How do you live in a house with someone who you don't speak to for a week? God, you went out for a week. You went on a walkabout for a week.
It is Good News Friday. This is where we ask you to share with us some good news story from your world. This is something that is happening in your life, and it can be something really small or something extremely big, but for you, it is good news. And every week at around about this time, we're joined by young little Luke Dixon.
Oh, sorry, he's not on the line, is he?
He is, yeah.
Did he hear about me arguing with his mother?
I don't know, to be honest. Over to you, Luke, for Good News Friday.
Good morning, guys. It's Luke here, your favourite 4-year-old. I love Good News Friday. Here's my Good News Friday, guys. I went to the cinema to see Dumbo. It's a Disney movie about an elephant. He has really, really big ears.
Oh, what's happened there, Luke? It's just stopped. It's just cut off.
Oh. Get cut off? Why'd you cut a child off?
We'll try and get him back on the line after.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing cutting an adult off. You can do that. You literally just cut a child's line off the phone.
It's Good News Friday. If you've a good news story to share with us, call us right now on 6797 981.
98 FM's
Dublin Talks
with Des Kelly Interiors, the wood floor experts who supply and fit your new wood floor from start to finish, hassle-free. DesKelly.ie. 98 FM.
Now it is Friday, and it's time for your Good News Friday.
You know the way people always say, that Adrian Kennedy fella, he always cuts off people that don't agree with him. They say that. That's
they
what
do say that. They do. Okay, I have him back on the line, I'm delighted to say. Luke, over to you for your good news.
Here's my Good News Friday, guys. I went to the cinema to see Dumbo. It's a Disney movie about an elephant. He has really, really big ears. It was a really good movie. I got to eat popcorn and nachos. When my daddy goes to the cinema, he eats nachos, popcorn, sweets, Ben and Jerry's ice cream, Skittles, and the large Coca-Cola. Nana told him he's going to have a fat belly. But the movie was brilliant. You better go out see it in the cinema. Have a great Friday. 98 FM.
You are a savage,
You
Dixon.
can have no secrets with that child.
So you literally bought the whole shop?
I'm a man of appetite. As you know, I
thought your body was a temple, and then you're shoveling all that rubbish into
actually,
you.
that was what the row was. I remember talking about the row. We went to the cinema to see Dumbo.
Yeah.
Have you seen it, by the way?
No.
Great movie. And I ordered Ben and Jerry's sweets, popcorn, nachos, and a large Coke. It was a Coke Zero, though, so no sugar there. So I think that sort of evens out.
It's like going in and buying a double quarter pounder with a Diet Coke.
I like the sound of that, actually. Anyway, the missus turned around to me and says you're going to end up with a fat belly from eating all that stuff. What do you order when you go to cinema?
Popcorn and a drink.
Oh, you one of those?
Yeah.
No, stock up, man.
Let's have a listen to this Good News Friday WhatsApp message.
Hi guys, My good news this Friday is after being home for a year, I finally got my Canadian permanent residency and will be moving back to Canada this summer. Thanks. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you. He's off back to Canada.
So we've lost a listener. That's not good news for us.
No, actually, it's bad news Friday.
Great news for you. Is Canada nice, by the way?
Canada, I haven't been, believe it or not. My young fella lived there for a year and a half.
I've never been there, yeah.
He loved it. He absolutely loved it. It's a nicer version of America, is what everybody tells me. They're nicer people and, yeah.
And it doesn't have the same rubbish that America has, does it? So
or the same president.
Or the same president, okay.
Yeah, it's a nicer America. Good News Friday. Michael, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Michael?
Yeah, not bad. How are you?
Michael, what is your good news?
Well, my football team's on a winning streak at the moment.
Now, is this a team that you play with or that you manage or...?
No, I just support them.
You just support them? Who are your team?
Aston Villa.
Aston Villa?
Yeah,
they're
the championship.
Championship team.
Oh, right, yeah. I never pay attention to that. What, are they top of the league?
Fifth at the moment.
Right, and that's good.
That's good, yeah. Top six get you into the playoffs. Get back into the Premier League.
Yeah, they're basically, because Adrian doesn't know a lot about football. So
no, I do. I know about the Premiership.
Well, let me put this into
the real football.
Yeah, let me put this into perspective. He's talking about a team that are fifth in the second best league.
Yeah. I know that. You see, here's the thing. Correct me if I'm wrong, Michael. Didn't Aston Villa used to be in the Premiership?
Yeah.
Because I actually saw them years ago in Villa Park playing, and they were in the
ground, isn't it?
It's a lovely ground, yeah. But they were in the Premiership at the time. So what went wrong?
Bad management.
Oh, right, okay. So this year is a much better... I'm just looking at the table here, and they're fifth, yeah, but they're like 19 points behind Norwich, who are top of the table.
I don't mind top of the table. We just want that fourth position.
Our friend, myself and Adrian's friend, Deck, he's actually a DJ on the radio. Deck Pearce is a big...
He's a big Villa fan.
Big Villa fan.
Yeah, follow him on Twitter.
He goes to regular matches. Did he tell me, I don't know how true this is, do ticket prices become cheaper when the team gets crapper, basically? In other words, are the tickets cheaper for Aston Villa because they're not Premier anymore?
No, they were always... I went to see them in the Premier League a couple of times, and the ticket prices haven't really fluctuated for Villa. Like, they've always been reasonably good to their supporters, like.
Okay, so their next match is against Rotherham.
Oh,
that was the last match. That was the last match. Okay, when's their next match? Let's have a look here.
Tomorrow, Bristol City.
Bristol City tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
They beat Rotherham last week, did they?
On Wednesday.
Yeah, that must have made your week. They beat Rotherham. Is Rotherham even place?
Yeah. All right, anyway, so they need to finish top four to do what?
The top six to get into the playoffs.
To get into the playoffs?
Yeah, first and second go into the Premier League, then 3, 4, 5 and 6 go into the playoffs.
Right, okay. Right.
So we're just trying to make the playoffs.
Okay, so between yourself and Deck, they have 2 supporters in Ireland, which is good news. That's really good news.
They've actually got a huge following in Ireland because they've always had Irish players. Like they've had, what's his name? The defender.
Paul McGrath.
No, Paul McGrath. The other fella, Richard Dunn, played for them as well.
Richard Dunn.
Grealish as well.
No, he went. Under 21s, he played for Ireland, but he went to England then, like Declan Rice.
Okay, so the good news is fifth in the
in the second best league.
In the second best league is good news. All right, good to talk to you, Michael. Thanks very much.
Have a great day.
I thought you were about to say you're a Liverpool supporter or something, but no.
Michael, I have 2 pet snails and one of them won a race last week. I'm very happy about it.
Good luck, Michael. Good luck. Deck, if you're listening, Deck is Ireland's #1 Aston Villa supporter.
His heart is broken.
I say it
Well,
is.
it was last year when they went down.
Ian is in Tala. You're on 98 FM. Ian, how are you?
Good morning, guys. How are you keeping?
Ian, what is your good news story?
Adrian, my good news for this week is my 10-year-old daughter flew to North Carolina yesterday for the Irish Dancing World Championships.
Really?
Yeah, flew out to Greensboro yesterday to compete in our first World Championships. Yeah, I'm just over the moon for her.
I'm not surprised. Who's gone with her?
Yeah, she's gone with her mum.
She's gone with her mum to North Carolina for the Irish Dancing World Championships, which is actually, it surprises me that that's held in America.
Yeah, every 4 or 5 years they'll have it in the States or Canada. But next year it's in Dublin, last year it was in Glasgow, so every so often they'll have to bring it across like that.
Okay, so it kind of moves around.
Moves around, it does, yeah, exactly, yeah.
And did you have to pay for the trip, or how does that work?
That's why I'm working here on Air Agent.
Right.
So that's the story of that. But we've done a lot of fundraising to pay for some of the trip and all that as well.
Okay, now at 10 years of age to be in the World Irish Dancing Championship, she has to be fairly good.
Yeah, she's okay. She's okay. She can hold her own. She can. Yeah, definitely. A lot of hard work and a lot of practice, but she's done very well to get there. She has.
That is fantastic news, Ian.
Yeah.
And when is she dancing?
She will be dancing on Sunday morning, so she is.
On Sunday morning, so she is. That's fantastic.
I'm looking at this online here, and this is a huge event. My God, it takes place from April the 14th to April the 21st. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Run for the whole week, Jeremy. Just different days as different age groups dancing. Lauren will be dancing in the under 11 category.
Well, the very best of luck to her. The World Irish Dancing Championships in North Carolina in the States. Best of luck to her. Thanks, Ian.
Guys, thanks for that. Love the show.
Thank you very much indeed. That is great news. You'd be very proud as a parent, wouldn't you?
Can you Irish dance?
No, I can't.
Have you ever tried?
I can't dance, let alone Irish dance.
There's nothing nicer, I have to say, than to see. I was at a wedding there. It's a country wedding thing to do. Have you ever been to a country wedding?
I have, yeah.
And they bring out, there's always a couple of kids in the family that know how to Irish dance. And halfway through the wedding, they get the kids out. Have you ever seen kids dancing?
Yeah, it's brilliant, yeah.
Amazing.
Brian is in Dunshaughlin in County Meath. How are you, Brian?
Hey, lads.
The good news is you're getting out of Dunshaughlin.
I'm getting out of Dunshaughlin.
That's good news for anybody.
At 1 o'clock.
You're getting out of Dunshaughlin at 1 o'clock, but that's not really your good news. It's what are you up to for the weekend?
We're heading down across to Kilkenny for the weekend, myself and a few lads.
14 in total?
15 in total, 14 of me.
14 in you. What's the occasion?
It's a double 40. One of the lads was 40 last week and one's 40 middle of next week, so we're going in the middle.
Very good. So, 14 lads taking Kilkenny by storm this weekend.
Yes.
But you're going to be well behaved, yes?
Of course.
Not going to make a show at Dunshaughlin?
Here, they're not going to Amsterdam. They're going to Kilkenny.
Dunshaughlin. We only walk in Dunshaughlin. We're from Dublin. So.
Oh, I see. All right. Okay.
There's no red light district in Kilkenny, Adrian.
Is there not?
No, none of that. No, we're going to see a few museums, maybe catch a movie.
That's a complete lie because there's no museums in Kilkenny.
The castle is lovely.
The castle is lovely, yeah. Go see the castle. What you do is you get a load of photographs taken at the castle, and they're the photographs you send home.
That's it.
That's what you do.
Straight to the pub.
Oh, so you tell your missus you spent 3 days in Kilkenny
I love
Castle.
Kilkenny Castle. You take photographs there and you send her those home.
Yeah, just say, look at the tapestries. It's all about the tapestries.
Let's have a listen to this WhatsApp voice message.
Morning, lads. My good news today is my wife is 37 weeks pregnant on her first child, so any day now.
Oh, the excitement! Only another couple of days. This is 98 FM. We'll take another couple of calls for Good News Friday straight after the break. Live and exclusive to Dublin's 98 FM, Monday through Friday between 10 and midday. This is Adrian Kennedy. You're with 98 FM's Dublin Talks. And Trish is here with Friday's top headlines.
Thanks, Adrian. A tourist lookout tower is proposed at the site of the Poolbeg Chimneys. It comes as planning permission was granted yesterday for 3,500 homes in the area. Developer Harry Crosby, who's behind the tourist tower idea, says a decision on the attraction will be down to public opinion. The Fianna Fáil leaders accused Simon Harris of not being on top of his health brief. Micheál Martin says the recent scandals at the National Children's Hospital and cervical check show Simon Harris isn't up to the job. He says the government took its eye off the ball when it came to the massive overruns on the project. A team of Liverpool legends take on an Ireland squad in honour of Sean Cox this evening. The sides meet at the Aviva Stadium from 7:45 to raise funds for the 53-year-old's medical care after the Mead man was attacked outside Anfield last year. And a woman held in Dubai over Facebook posts calling her ex-husband's wife a horse is now back in Britain after being freed. The campaign group supporting Leah Shavrash says she landed at Heathrow this morning. And are up to date on 98.
And there were worse things you could have called her.
Certainly
like a horse. I mean, seriously. All right, thanks very much indeed, Trish. It is Friday. This is Dublin Talks, and it is Good News Friday. Lots of calls coming in for Good News Friday this week. Let's have a listen to this WhatsApp voice message.
Morning, guys. My good news isn't quite good news. 2 weeks kids home from school for Easter holidays. No! Happy weekend, guys.
Yeah, how is that good news? The kids getting under your feet for the next 2 weeks. Or maybe you'd love having them around. Where am I going next? Let's go to Tala. And Laura is on the line from Tala. Laura, welcome to 98 FM.
Thank you, Adrian.
Laura, what is your good news?
My good news is I'm getting married on Sunday.
Ooh!
To my partner of 9 years. So I'll have my daughters and my granddaughters in my wedding party as my bridesmaids, and my 84-year-old dad will walk me down the aisle. And
lovely.
My mum. My mum will be there too. So
that is fantastic. Now, a Sunday wedding, that's unusual.
Yeah, it's just we couldn't get the Saturday, and I kind of wanted that weekend for different reasons, so we took the Sunday. So, yeah, we're getting married in the Cadian in Newbridge, so it's really nice.
That's
Looking
fantastic.
forward to the day.
That is fantastic. Well, have a great... And is everything organised, yeah?
Everything all organised, yeah.
And what's his name?
Noel is my partner.
Noel. So yourself and Noel on Sunday getting hitched. That's very exciting. I hope it goes really well for you. I hope you have a brilliant weekend, Laura. Are you going off on a honeymoon?
We are. We're going to New York for a week, and then a big one later on in the year.
Well, New York's not a big one.
Well, yeah. I've been a few times. Noel has never been to New York, so I'm looking forward to showing him all the sights there.
All right. Well, have a great weekend. Have a great trip to New York, and the best of luck to both of you.
Thanks so much, Adrian.
Thanks, Laura.
Bye-bye.
What is your good news? Call us now on 6797981. My good news, says this WhatsApp message, is little Dixon yet again put a smile on everyone's face in work. Dean, the window cleaner from Dunleary. Thank you very much indeed, Dean. Sue, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Sue?
Oh, I'm fine, thank you. Even happier.
Even happier. For what reason? What is your good news this Friday?
I'm going home to Glasgow.
Oh, why? Where are you?
I'm in Cyprus.
So you live in Cyprus?
Yeah.
And your good news is you're coming home. When was the last time you were home?
Oh, about 6 years ago.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And my husband, as a surprise, booked me a flight yesterday. And I'm absolutely overjoyed.
That is fantastic news. So, for the first time in 6 years, living in Cyprus, you're coming home to Glasgow. For how long, Sue?
Only for a week.
A week is enough.
Pile in everything.
That's fantastic. You'll notice a few changes around here now in 6 years, I would think.
I know. It's spot the paddy, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So you're coming home tomorrow?
No, it'll be Monday week.
Oh, Monday. Oh, sorry. Okay, he just booked it yesterday, but it's Monday week.
Holiday Monday.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Well, look, have a safe journey home and enjoy your week.
And you too.
And you'll be able to listen to us here, because I know you listen to us regularly in Cyprus.
I listen to you every day.
And you'll be able to listen to us live on an actual radio here in Dublin.
Yes.
All right, good to talk to you, Sue.
You're absolutely brilliant. You make me day.
Thanks very much indeed, Sue. Good to talk to you.
God bless.
That's Sue. That's her good news. She lives in Cyprus, but she was surprised yesterday with the trip home for the first time in 6 years. Let's take another couple of calls for Good News Friday. JD, you're on 98 FM. How are you?
Good morning, lads. How are you doing?
JD, what is your good news?
Good news for you is we've organised a charity match for Temple Street Hospital tomorrow up in McKelvey and Finglas. We're all our local lads in the Deputy Mayor pub in Finglas.
Very good.
And Chrissy Dignam has just given us a signed guitar for a raffle as well.
Really?
Brilliant.
Oh, that is... Yeah. He's a decent skin, as our Christy.
He's 100%.
He really is. Well done, Chris. So he's given you a signed guitar for a raffle. And tell me about the charity match. What's it for?
It's a charity match. It's a Temple Street Hospital. Basically, all the lads in the local pub, we're from Ballymun and Finglas. And we drink up there and we do something every once a year. And a guy called Richie Sullivan just came up with this. Look, let's play a match. Half of us can't kick a ball. And the age from 20 to 70 years of age tomorrow at 4 o'clock.
Oh, very good. That's fantastic.
So, and we have an international referee and an ex-international referee called Peter Daly. He's done the rest of the match in office. So everything's just brilliant.
And all in aid of Temple Street.
All in aid of Temple Street Hospital.
Fantastic news, JD. Thanks very much indeed.
So you're in the Deputy Mayor tomorrow at 5 o'clock. We have a sing-song and all with the band and all afterwards and all. So we've a bit of crack if you want to drop in.
That's brilliant. Very good. Congratulations and the best of luck with that tomorrow. The Deputy Mayor in Finglas. And finally, to Ballyfermot we go. And Danielle is on the line. Danielle, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Danielle?
Hi, guys. I'm good. How are you?
Danielle, what is your good news?
My good news is me and the hubby just booked a nice 10-day holiday in Costa del Sol for September.
Oh, I have to say, The Costa del Sol is one of my favourite places in the world. I just love it. Whereabouts are you staying?
Well, my mum and dad go over for a month every September, so they rent a private apartment, so we'll be staying with them.
Ah, fantastic. That is great news. I just love the Costa del Sol. It's just amazing.
Oh, we go every year. It's amazing.
That's great news, Danielle. Thank you very much indeed. There are your good news stories. Thank you very much indeed for all of your good news stories. You're with 98 FM's Dublin Talks.
98 FM's Best of Dublin Awards 2019.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is back again for 2019, 98 FM's Best of Dublin Awards. What exactly is it? I hear you cry. Well, I don't actually hear you cry. I'm blagging that a bit. We are searching for everything that is great about our city and its people, and we need your help. 98 FM's Best of Dublin Awards is where we basically reward clubs and businesses and people in various different categories for our ceremony, which takes place towards the end of May. Okay? Now, let me give you a couple of ideas. What we're looking for is nominations in all of the 16 categories that we have for 98 FM's Best of Dublin Awards. So let me give you a couple of ideas of some of the categories that we have. For example, where is it that you work? And do you like your work? And is your workplace the best workplace in Dublin? If it is, you can nominate your own workplace as being the best workplace in Dublin. That's just one of the 16 categories that we have. Where is, for example, the best takeaway in Dublin? We all have our favourite takeaway. We all love a takeaway. Maybe you want to nominate your favourite takeaway as the best takeaway in Dublin. Who do you think is the best Dublin sports person? Get nominating right now. Maybe it's a player on your local football team. Maybe it's a player on the Dublin team. Whoever it may be that you think is the best Dublin sports person, you can nominate them right now at 98fm.com/best of Dublin. So as I said, there are 16 different categories. They range from bus driver to coffee, the best coffee in Dublin, the Dublin hero, somebody who's done something above and beyond in the last year that warrants that title, Dublin hero. And as I said, 16 categories in total. So please go onto our website at 98fm.com/best of Dublin and nominate in one or all of the categories. It's totally up to you. Nominations close on Easter Monday. Okay, that is the final day for nominations, Easter Monday, which is Monday week. And then from that week, we will be announcing our shortlist. So in order to get somebody on the shortlist, they have to be nominated. After the nominations are closed, it's too late. So please check out our website, 98fm.com/best of Dublin.
Love celebrating the best. 98 FM's Best of Dublin Awards. 98 FM's Dublin Talks. Text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98.
Now, next on the programme, it's the story that everyone has been talking about for the past couple of days. A taxi driver who sexually assaulted 3 women has had his licence taken away. Now, there was outrage earlier this week when it emerged that Mansour Udin, who admitted to sexually assaulting 3 women, had been released on bail. Then there was confusion with people thinking that he was still driving a taxi. Now, as it happens, this turned out to be untrue and was confirmed by Gardaí to us last night that his licence was taken away fairly immediately after his guilty plea in court. However, it has opened up the debate about how safe are women alone in taxis. Let me give you an idea as to what this particular taxi driver did. Okay, the first woman escaped from the taxi when he assaulted her. But he drove alongside her, rolled down his window, and told her she could keep her money if she would just give him a kiss. He asked her to get into the car, but she refused, and she reported the attack to Gardaí the following day. The second victim, a 20-year-old, got into his car in an upset state, having had an argument with her boyfriend. He asked her why she was crying and told her not to be upset because she was beautiful. He wiped away her tears and rubbed her face before brushing his hand along the right side of her body. When she arrived at her home, he asked if she needed a hug before leaning in towards her as if to kiss her. The woman got away from the car and he drove away at speed. She was later able to provide Gardaí with a partial car registration number. And then the third woman, an 18-year-old schoolgirl, got into his car an hour later. He began rubbing her leg, telling her how soft her skin was. She pushed him away and he tried to get his hand into her underwear. He asked her what age she was, and when she told him, he smiled and said she was really young. So there, the three different incidents that this guy has pleaded guilty to. And as I said, it raises the whole issue. I know this is only one guy that is the centre of this particular conversation. But like I said, there was the judge at the time, when he pleaded guilty, the judge at the time had said that he could continue driving and that no women should sit in the front seat of his car. And that was the story that went around. However, what we didn't realise is that immediately the Gardaí actually applied to have his taxi permit immediately withdrawn, which is what happened. So he wasn't actually driving a taxi after his guilty plea. But I want you to have a listen to this message from a guy that we're just calling Barry. And here's what he said. Lads, can you please talk about taxi drivers and the bad name that they have? I completely accept that the man who has been convicted this week of sexual assault was a monster and rightly convicted. However, I'm sick of all taxi driver bashing. There are bad apples in every organisation. Now I have women avoiding getting into the front seat of my car, and I'm on high alert that nothing I do or say will be taken up the wrong way. I would never hurt a soul, but I'm made to feel like a bad person. I've been in the taxi business for nearly 20 years, and 99% of Dublin taxi drivers are good, well-intentioned people just trying to make a living. I hate that we're being tarred with the same brush. Women are safe in taxis. This is an extremely rare case. I bet you won't read this out, says Barry. Well, I don't know how much you're betting me, Barry, but I just read it out. And I would like to hear from you on this, on 6797 981. Are women safe in taxis in Dublin? Now, I say, yes, you are. But I know an awful lot of women won't. For example, I was talking to a couple of colleagues earlier on, and a number of them said, yes, they will get a taxi on their own, but they won't sit in the front seat. Call me right now on 6797 981. You can text or WhatsApp the programme 0877 98 98 98. You can also send a WhatsApp voice message to that same number 0877 98 98 98. Christine, you have always had a fear of being in taxis on your own. Why?
Well, when I was 15, I was molested by a taxi driver. I was sitting in the front seat of the taxi. So ever since then, I won't get in a taxi alone unless it's essential or, unless I have to. And
describe what happened. What did he do?
I don't really want to go into too much detail about it. It's hard to talk about. But he just touched me in places he shouldn't have touched me. Had me locked in the car, kept me down a laneway at the back of the ILAC centre for a while.
Wow.
And sexually assaulted me, yeah.
How long ago was that?
Well, I'm 35 now. It was when I was 15.
And it's something that obviously sticks with you to this day?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
So if you ever do have an occasion to get a taxi on your own, will you always sit in the back?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You feel safer in the back, do you?
Yeah. And it wasn't until somebody said to me earlier on about don't get in the back of a taxi because they can lock the doors and you can't get out kind of thing. I never actually thought of that. I always just felt safer in the back of the taxi. If I was with a group of friends now, I'd get in the front. I wouldn't be,
as bothered.
As bothered because obviously there's other people there, but definitely wouldn't get in the front on my own. And it's rarely that I get a taxi by my own unless I really had to.
Now, what was shocking about this story is that the judge in the case, he was released on bail, and what the judge had said at the time was that as part of his bail conditions, he is not permitted to have a female passenger in the front seat of his taxi. Now, it has subsequently transpired, even though the judge said that the Gardaí immediately applied for his taxi licence to be revoked, which it was. So, ever since appearing in court, this guy has not been driving a taxi, which I think is important to get out there. But you see, like I said, this conversation is from a message from a taxi driver who is sick of hearing stories like this and then everybody viewing all taxi drivers with suspicion.
Yeah, I can understand his point, and people shouldn't be all tarnished with the one brush, but he has to understand, and especially for females, their fear after hearing things like this, to get in a taxi again. Like, I don't think all taxi men are the same, and a lot of them are absolutely lovely. Majority of them are. But, I mean,
you still, and I can understand from your point of view how, after what happened to you, you have that fear in you. I can completely get that. Just out of curiosity, Christine, was that guy, did anything ever happen to him, the guy who assaulted you?
Oh, yeah, he was sentenced when I think I was about 18. He was sentenced to 3.5 years.
Oh, really? As a result of what he did to you?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah, he was a convicted rapist before, and then he was given a taxi licence.
Right, okay. That was a little bit stricter now, I'd like to think.
I hope so,
yeah, exactly. But he did do time for what he did to you.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
All right, Christine, thanks very much indeed. Our telephone number is 6797 981. You can text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. As I said last week, the judge in this particular case, when he was releasing Mansour Uddin on bail, set some conditions, and one of the conditions was that he is not permitted to have a female passenger in the front seat of his taxi. And that led everybody to assume that he was driving around in a taxi in Dublin, but women weren't to sit in the front seat. It has subsequently transpired that no, he wasn't actually driving a taxi after this. The Gardaí immediately applied for his taxi licence to be revoked, and it was. So he hasn't been driving a taxi since. However, it does raise the whole issue about how safe women in particular feel in taxis. And Barry got in contact with us as a taxi driver, and he is sick and tired of taxi drivers all being branded in this way. Celia never sits in the front seat, do you, Celia?
No, that's right.
Okay.
It never even dawned on me to get in the front seat.
Okay, I'm going to try and find out why in just a second. Hang on the line there for 1 second. I'll come back to you straight after the break. 6797 981 is our telephone number. 0877 98 98 98 is our text or WhatsApp number, and you can also send a WhatsApp voice message to that same number, 0877 98 98 98.
98 FM's
Dublin Talks
with Des Kelly Interiors, the wood floor experts who supply and fit your new wood floor from start to finish, hassle-free. DesKelly.ie. 98 FM.
And this is Adrian Kennedy with you until midday today. So there was some confusion over the last while about a taxi driver who has pleaded guilty to 3 different sexual assaults. He was released on bail for preparation of a psychological report and before sentencing. But there was confusion in court over a statement from the judge regarding female taxi drivers no longer being allowed into his taxi. The judge basically allowed him to remain a taxi driver while on bail as long as no female passengers sat in the front passenger seat. Now, it has since transpired that the Gardaí immediately applied for his taxi licence to be revoked, which it was. So he hasn't been driving a taxi since then. Let's have a listen to a couple of WhatsApp voice messages.
Regarding that taxi man there, now in fairness, he should be deported back to his own country, because if he done that in his own country, there'd be more severe punishment, I can guarantee that. And goes the same for anybody who's not from the country and commits a crime, should be sent back home. Now, personally, I don't think that's racist or anything like that, but that's how it should be.
Celia is in Fairhouse, and Celia, you never sit in the front seat of a taxi. Why not?
It just never occurred to me. I mean, I thought that was the driver's space, and you sat in the back because you were hiring the taxi.
Well, in other countries that would be the case if they've protective screens or whatever, but here that isn't the case because it's just like an ordinary family car.
Well, that's their job, you know, and that's their space. And you're employing them to drive you. I thought you just got in the back. I've never in my whole life got into the front seat with a taxi driver. And I do feel sorry that every taxi driver is now all being tarred with the same brush. You know?
And so you can understand why this guy contacted us, who's a little bit annoyed that, I mean, he's basically saying 99% of drivers are good, well-intentioned people trying to make a living.
We don't know one from the other, of course.
No, I suppose you don't, but you can say that about any walk of life. Basically what he's saying is it bothers him that people are getting into his taxi and viewing him with suspicion.
Yes, I think they should, though. And they should make sure that... Sorry, somebody's calling me. They should take a picture of the driver, and he should be aware that they're taking a picture of the card that's up in the front of the taxi.
Oh, make it conscious and make it obvious that you're taking a photograph of it.
That's been recommended, and also that you phone somebody, even if you aren't really phoning somebody, and say that you're in a taxi on the way home. That would make it safer, that they're aware that somebody knows you're in the taxi.
That you're in a taxi, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let me...
looking out the window at one going by and thinking we're just making them all feel dreadful.
All right, let me play this WhatsApp voice message.
I just want to say that I get in the front seats taxis all the time. I constantly use taxis. I don't have any issue getting in a taxi and sitting in the front seat. Not everybody is the same. You get all walks of life everywhere. So as regards to the taxi man being upset, I can understand that. But it also needs to take into consideration, you know, we don't, some of the licenses that have been issued in this country, they're being given to people and they're probably not even the correct ID. So I'd just like to point that out as well.
Okay, another message says, I'll always get in the front of a taxi so I can see all their details and be sure they're registered taxi drivers, first of all. And second of all, I'll keep those details in my phone until I leave the car. Also, it's easier to get away in the front seat if anything were ever to happen, because if they lock the doors, you can't get out of the back seat. If they do physically lock the doors themselves, some cars have auto locks, I'll query it and ask them to stop, and I'll get out and I'll wait for a different taxi, says Shauna. Where am I going to next? I am going to Derek. Derek, you are a taxi driver.
I am.
And you heard the reason for this conversation was the message that I got from Barry. Sick to the back teeth of taxi driver bashing and stories like this having the general public viewing ye all with the same suspicion.
Yeah, true, but there's loads of different things, you know. I once had a girl flag me going from Glyn Road in Coolock over to the Mesbel Hotel. She said she needed to go to a barge that was on the canal there. And when we got halfway across, she started offering me, how would you say, sexual favours for the fare, and told me that other taxi drivers take them and blah, blah, blah. I thought she was a lady of the night, but I didn't want to kick her out of the car. It was a dead night. I just wanted to get paid. When I got over to the other place, she was touching my leg and all. I was like, please stop. When we got over to the Mesbel Hotel, she tried to get money out of the bank machine and she hadn't even got a bank card. And then when the guards arrived, they said, oh yeah, this is her patch, blah, blah, blah. I says, listen, she's in here touching me up and on the car. I just want to get paid. And the guards were like, oh, well, you'd be doing well getting that money and all, and took me details and never heard anything back from it. You know,
so in other words, it works both ways. You can have
yeah, but I understand, and I'm not trying to defend that man in any way, shape or form. He deserves what he got, and he should never have done anything like that. But I mean, where was the call back? Where was the common decency from the guards to get back to me? Like, they didn't even chase that girl for the money from me fare. Not only was she touching me up, you know. So
okay,
you know,
so
things. And then another day, I was going into town early in the morning. I got a bit of work on a building site, and it was great. I left the taxi and done every Dublin taxi driver a favour. Left the car in the garden, and I went by Marion Square, and there was a taxi driver sitting there at about 7:15 in the morning, and he was smoking heroin in the car.
Good
So
God.
I took his details down, and I rang the cop shop Fitzwilliam guard station. They said, how do you know he's smoking heroin? I says, because I know what it looks like. I've seen it in films. I grew up in a rough place, and the guards never even got back to me to say that he went around to him or anything, you know.
So you gave the guards your details and they did no follow-up?
They never follow up on anything I give them. It's just a disgrace.
Let me ask you then, we're a lot of people, a lot of women in particular, contacting us to say that as a rule, they don't sit in the front seat of a taxi, especially if they're travelling on their own.
Yeah.
Is that not a bit of kind of paranoia?
I wouldn't say it's paranoia. Like, I don't ever think about it like that. Girls get in the front of my car, they get in the back of my car. I never give it a second thought, to be quite honest with you. I just chat away to them, bring them to wherever they need to go, and that's it. Ask them to check themselves before they get out, that they have their phone, keys, wallet, stuff like that. I never think twice about where they sit in the car. Some people are shy. They get in, they don't want to talk. That's fine.
Okay, so this guy Barry, is he being a little bit paranoid when he says that we're all good, 99% of us are good? I hate the way we're all tarred with the same brush. I don't think anybody's tarring all taxi drivers with the same brush, are they?
Yeah, but you see I see his point, but I wouldn't say we're all being tarred with the same brush.
Okay, so if a woman on her own gets into the back seat of your car, you don't think to yourself, geez, why is she sitting in the back seat of my car?
No. Not at all. I never give it a second thought. People can sit where they want in my car, in the front or in the back. It doesn't bother me. They can talk to me or they cannot talk to me. It doesn't bother me in any way, shape or form.
Okay, stay there for 1 second. Let's have a listen to this WhatsApp voice message.
A taxi driver once told me that a lady should always sit in the back of the car. And a lot of people I know, a lot of women I know, feel the same way. They would never sit in the front. It's not for any particular reason or bad experience. It's just like driving Miss Daisy kind of thing. I don't know. Maybe it's just out of respect.
Okay, now to raise, Derek was saying it doesn't bother him in the slightest, but you believe that you're the wife of a taxi driver, and you believe that stories like this have a huge impact on other drivers.
I think they do, Adrian, yeah. I mean, my husband's taxi driving now 17 years. And at the minute now, with this particular driver, his licence should have been taken off him straight away.
It was, Therese.
But even before any of that. But I mean, there's other companies.
Sorry, the big issue here is, Therese, that the Gardaí, now they clarified it last night, the Gardaí should have clarified this at the time that they'd applied to have his taxi licence revoked. They should have announced that much earlier than they did.
Absolutely, and I would agree with that. But I think also as well, you have to be 5 years in certain countries before you can actually have an actual taxi licence. I think that should be applied here as well. And I don't think the Garda vetting is done properly enough either. I mean, he obviously had to have some kind of history before this. I don't believe that he didn't. And my husband now, personally, he feels, I'm not going to say it's going to be tarred with all the same brush, but he also feels now that this is actually tarnishing, our taxi drivers, our safe drivers out there, who have good feedback, who just want to go out, do their daily job, earn their money, go home to their families, and they feel, a little bit under pressure, I think, at the minute from this whole thing, But also as well, I also feel as well, now my sister was down with me last night and she was saying 2 of her friends got into a taxi last week. Now, the taxi driver in question, he wasn't Irish. The girl they lived a bit of a distance between them, so one was getting out first. So she took her phone out to take a picture of his license and, his image and his number at the front. And he put his hand out, knocked the phone basically from her hand and put them out, pulled across and pushed them out of the car. So obviously he wasn't properly licensed, and knew he wasn't properly licensed and he was going to be caught out. And I really think now that the taxi regulator needs to stand up here now and be more accountable and do better checks. I mean, I heard they go out to the airport, they pull up, the lads know that they're coming, and off they go. I mean, it's a running joke, literally, at this stage. So the taxi regulator do need to step up and find out who is real and who isn't real. So people aren't, sort of worried about. I mean, I personally don't worry getting into a taxi. I would sit in the front, I would sit in the back, I would talk to.
In fact, a taxi driver mate of mine just texted me to say there is a thing in the Irish taxi game that if the passenger sits in the back, it means they don't want to talk to the driver.
No.
If they sit in the front, it means that they do.
No, and my husband was saying exactly. Now, he noticed, actually, we were talking about this last night, he said he has noticed that a lot more people are sitting in the back, but then it doesn't change. If they want to talk, whether they sit in the front or the back, I mean, I'd be the same. I would still talk regardless. I wouldn't be rude. I like to have a conversation. Who doesn't? Well, most people don't mind having a conversation, and if it's good banter, well, then fair enough. You know, but I wouldn't say, well, I'd probably be more comfortable sitting in the front as a woman personally. I would probably feel more in control if I was sitting in the front rather than sitting in the back. So that's basically really, I just wanted to get that point across, but I do feel that the regulator, I mean, I did the taxi test myself. So I was licensed. I studied with my husband. I never went and got my license, but I never drove the taxi, but I did it with him. And, you know, it would be nice to obviously see more women taxi drivers out there as well. But, yeah, I just wanted to get that point across. But I also do feel that the regulator is not doing enough. I hope they do hear this. And I'm sure plenty of other taxi drivers out there will be listening to this and will probably agree wholeheartedly. You know, and they need to, if they're going out to the airport to do these sort of little tests or whatever, or setups, they need to do it properly. They need to corner every section off that can't. It's like, you know, you see a police road check or something and you're going to reverse if you haven't got taxi insurance. It's really ridiculous. We need to get these people off the streets and just leave it to the people who are genuinely out there to just make a living, do their job and get people safely to and from their destinations, and that's it.
All right, good to talk to you, Therese. Thanks very much indeed. 6797 981 is our telephone number. You can text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. Here's a WhatsApp voice message that's come in to us.
Morning, Adrian. Just on the topic of the taxi driver, I'm more concerned about the judge in the case and him saying that the taxi driver may keep his licence but not take female fares in the front. That's a bit wrong there.
It is a little bit bizarre that the judge did say that in court, that whilst on bail he is not permitted to have a female passenger in the front seat of his taxi. That is what the judge said, and that's what led to the confusion around this, that he was still driving around. The reality of it is, though, that he wasn't still driving around, that the Gardaí had immediately applied for his licence to be revoked, which it was. Here's another message.
Hi, Adrian. Just in relation to the topic you're talking about there with taxi drivers, I feel we're possibly at the point now where we're going to have to introduce as a legal requirement for videos to be actually taken within the cabin of every taxi for protection for both the taxi driver and the actual passengers. I don't know how the listeners feel about that, but I think that's the only way around all this is to actually have a legal requirement for some sort of a video feed fitted in each cabin of a taxi for safety reasons for both the driver and the passengers getting in. That is regulated and actually checked up on a regular basis, incurring fines if it's not in position and if it's not kept up to date with maybe a 7-day weekly log of each fare.
Now, I actually think that's a great idea. I have to say, you get onto any Dublin bus and there are several CCTV cameras on the bus. Shouldn't it be the same for taxis? I can't understand why it's not, to be honest, because, I mean, you can have a camera now for dirt cheap. You can get them for little or nothing now. Mick, you are a taxi driver. How do you feel about it being law for every taxi to have a camera inside the car?
Well, I have one, Adrian, and it's a great idea, you know. But I don't think it should be up to every individual driver. I don't think it should make it compulsory. But I have one, and it goes, you know, any footage of it goes into the iCloud, so you have it there all the time.
Well, you're saying you have one. Shouldn't it be compulsory? Because if it were, say for example, this guy who's pleaded guilty to the 3 sexual assaults, he might have been much less likely to commit those assaults knowing that he was being filmed.
But you'd be amazed, Adrian, the amount of the public out there that when you see the camera and do say, now I have obviously had CCTV in operation stickers on the windows and on the dash, and you know, and the amazed amount of public that query, you know. And I just say to them, I just tell them it's for your safety and my safety. You know?
And everybody's happy enough with that.
Yeah, that nails puts the nail in the coffin, if you want to excuse it. But you know, that's what happens, and there's no problem then, you know. So we're just saying, yeah, it's a great idea, you know. And a lot of taxis do have cameras now, you know. If you go around Dublin, most, I'd say 80% of taxis have them, you know, drivers.
But well, then it should be no issue for it to be made law.
No, I don't.
Like, why? What possible reason would a taxi driver have for not wanting them?
Well, there's no possible reason, you know. I don't know. I mean, this compulsory thing, you know, everybody. As I say, I don't think you need to make it compulsory. I think a lot of the drivers have them now. You know, if you go around and look around in the taxis, and a lot of them have them, you know.
What do you say then to women, for example, and we've had a number on, who who choose not to sit in the front seat of a taxi if they're on their own? Are they right?
Yeah, well, most ladies are women, wherever you get into the cab, most sit in the back seat. I don't know where it is. It's just a team. Most of them sit in the back seat. You know, I don't take any offence to that.
And what about Barry's message to us, which started this conversation? He is sick and tired of all taxi drivers being tarred with the same brush and being viewed with the same suspicion.
Yeah, you feel that when things like that happen, you say in your head, not again, you know, there's another thing, there's one thing after the other, you know. Like the other thing a few weeks ago, all the illegal guys been caught, you know, the same thing. And people keep saying it to you know, and you try and explain what's going on and the whole lot, you know. But there's a thing, the reason I rang in, there's an app there from the National Transport Authority, Taxi Driver Check, and it's very simple to use. You download and use, and you don't even have to go into the taxi before you use it. You can scan the
car reg and whatever
from the disc on the window, you know. So you know, if the driver comes up, you know who he is. You have all these details. You can actually email him details to a friend or your mother or father or whatever, you know, your husband, and all the details are there. Then, you know, so there's no saying you weren't in my taxi, blah 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 blah. You know what I mean?
Now, I know a lot of people use that app, and it'll tell you whether the car is registered. You can put in the reg number, you can put in the license number of the driver, and it'll give you all of the...
and if it doesn't come up, Adrian, you know, you say, excuse me, let me out here, you're not a registered driver. That's what...
Simple as that.
You know. And I've often got people that stop me, and I've been in another taxi, and I checked on the app, and he's not registered, I told him to pull in, you know.
Now, the app itself is called Driver Check. So you just put in, and it's an official app.
Put in NTA Taxi Driver Check, and it pops up. You can just download. It takes a minute to download it, as you know, and everything is there. You just register. All you ask is for your name and your email address, and that's it then, you know. Okay, now,
if you put in your man's name or you put in his license number...
Yeah, but if you put in your man's name there, as you might see in a few photographs on Facebook, that he wasn't registered even on that thing. So he was highly illegal, you know. He was going around.
Well, no, he was, because his picture comes up on it, but it doesn't now as well.
No vehicle registered, Adrian. No
vehicle registered, that's right, yes.
No, he's not registered to any vehicle.
But so now, if you put in a search now for that guy with his driver license number, it says nothing. So that confirms that his license has been revoked. Because when you put in a search for the specific driver license number, it's not there anymore. All right, good to talk to you.
Just a bit of
confusion, it was. And the guards should have come out much earlier about this. Bernie, I'll take your call straight after the break. Stay on the line there for 1 second if you can, please. 6797981 is our telephone number. Have a listen to this WhatsApp voice message.
How's it going? Just listening to the radio show there that you have on that taxi man. The taxi man should be deported straight away. License should be taken off him 100%. Never allowed get next to near a taxi in any country again. And the judge who actually handed down that sentence should be doing double the time. These clowns of judges that are getting away with this crap for years. Paedophiles, putting paedophiles away for 1 year sentences when there's lads getting put in jail for 3 or 4 years for robbing Kit Kats. They should be all put down, every single one of them judges. Absolute shocking.
Now, just to clarify, by the way, the judge hasn't even handed down sentence yet. He He's on bail awaiting sentencing. Okay, I just want to make that clear, that it's nothing to do with the judge giving down a bad sentence. He hasn't given a sentence yet. He has pleaded guilty. This is Mansour Uddin. He has pleaded guilty, but the judge has yet to pass sentence. So that is in the near future. Quick break. Another couple of calls on this straight after the break. Don't go away.
98 FM's
Dublin Talks
with Des Kelly Interiors, the wood floor experts who supply and fit your new wood floor from start to finish, hassle-free. DesKelly.ie. 98 FM.
And this is Adrian Kennedy with you. We're talking about a message that we got from a guy called Barry. He's a taxi driver and he is fed up to the back teeth of people viewing taxi drivers with a degree of suspicion. It follows the case of Mansour Uddin and the confusion surrounding comments from Judge Sinead Nicola, who, by the way, adjourned the case until the 8th of May, so he will be sentenced on the 8th of May. But anyway, Judge Nicola in court basically said that he was not permitted to have female passengers in the front seat of his taxi, which would lead you to believe that he was still driving a taxi. However, immediately after his guilty plea, the Gardaí applied to have his licence revoked, and that licence was revoked immediately. So he hasn't been driving a taxi since pleading guilty in that court case. Somebody texted in earlier on to ask, was he driving since those incidents? And my understanding is yes, he was, because he hadn't been found guilty of anything. So where am I going now? Bernie, thank you for being so patient and holding on so long. What did you want to say, Bernie?
I'm just I agree with a lot of the people out there. All the taxi drivers shouldn't be tarnished with the same paintbrush. But in saying that, women do need to be cautious and safe. Not even just women, guys as well. I'm always wary, when I do get a taxi, especially by myself, that if I'm out on a social night, that I be very limited to the alcohol that I take, so that I have my wits about me. I will obviously notify my husband that I'm getting into a taxi, have a general chit-chat with the taxi driver, day-to-day banter, how are you, how are things, are you busy, usual questions that you nearly always ask taxi drivers. And then I would apologise and say, sorry, I just need to make a phone call. And I would actually ring my husband and I would stay on the call until I'm actually literally 30 seconds away from my front door, letting him know exactly where I am, what street I'm on, how long more.
And why are you so... I want to use the word paranoid, but I won't.
It's not that I'm paranoid. It's the society that we live in at the moment, that we are a lot more aware of dangers that are out there across the board on anything. And I just feel, I don't know, maybe because I'm a country girl living in Dublin, I don't know, I just, for my own personal being comfortable, I just feel it's safer to be on the phone to my husband. I used to just text him and say, I'm in a cab, maybe.
But now you make a point of ringing him.
Now I make a point of ringing him, yeah. And in 99% of the time, the drivers are absolutely fine about it. They understand why. If I do get an uneasy feeling from a driver or anything like that, it could be nothing wrong. The driver could be just having a crap night. He's had maybe the fare before me.
Okay, but it's not paranoia, it's just for your own self-protection. I think an awful lot of people understand that. And in fact, the vast majority of female calls have said that they do sit in the back of taxis, regardless of what this judge said. Let me just finish up with Jim Walsh, who is from the National Private Hire and Taxi Association. Jim, welcome to 98 FM.
Thanks, Adrian.
Jim, are people, and women in particular, safe in taxis?
I'd say they're safe in taxis as they are anywhere else in the public arena. Most people don't want to get on buses because they encounter problems on buses. there aren't, thankfully, that many sexual predators around in society. And most taxi drivers would be watching out. If we were informed there was somebody under suspicion or whatever, we would be the ones that would report people to the guards. And this is a thing that we've been asking for a long time. We're looking for a liaison officer to work with the taxi associations, and he could report back to us if people have lost licences for particular reasons, and then we could watch out for them ourselves and police our own industry.
And in this particular case that we're talking... in this particular case that we're talking about today, it does seem bizarre that it took the Gardaí so long to announce that his licence was actually revoked.
Yeah, and there's no transparency on it either, so, there are other instances, that's been in the media recently, and we as taxi drivers can't find out if these other people who are involved in serious incidents are still licensed to drive taxis. We have a good community within the taxi industry, and we work well together, and we do monitor our industry as best we can, but we need the cooperation of the guards and the NTA, and there should be better policing of the taxi operations. There's no doubts about that,
All right, Jim, thank you very much indeed for talking to us. Let's just put in one last WhatsApp voice message.
I agree with that chap also. That should be compulsory, all cameras in taxis, and but they should be wired up to the meter that they only run when your meter's on or something like that, because taxis are also private family vehicles as well, so you don't want them recording all the time when you're at home and things like that,
And somebody texted in to say, be sure they can just delete the video files if they are up to no good. I think, in my opinion, it should be the law that they have these cameras in their cars, and that they have to keep the video files for, a week, let's say, so that if somebody does make a complaint, it can be investigated fairly quickly. Anyway, I can't see why they don't all have them. Okay, sorry for running out of time, and sorry we didn't even get time for our quiz this week. It's just the way it goes sometimes. We'll do it next Friday. That's it from us for today. Thank you very much indeed for joining us and for listening to us, and we'll be back Monday morning at 10 a.m. Barry Dunn is on the way, and in the next hour he's got some great music lined up, like these.
With my heart,
98 FM's
Dublin Talks
with Des Kelly Interiors, the wood floor experts who supply and fit your new wood floor from start to finish, hassle free. DesKelly.ie. 98 FM.